Hi, this is Mr. Packstrom, and today I wanted to do an example problem from section 3.1. This is on properties of linear functions and linear models. So here's the problem up here. It says suppose that f of x is equal to 3x plus 5 and g of x is equal to 5x minus 3. And we want to do all of these things. We want to solve f of x is equal to 0, f of x is greater than 0, f of x is equal to g of x, f of x is less than g of x. We want to graph both the functions and show how the calculator can find the solution of the f of x is equal to g of x. That's the point where the two curves meet, or two lines in this case will meet. All right, so f of x equal to 0. That's the first one here. So this is our f of x function here. So we're just going to set it equal to 0. So 3x plus 5 is equal to 0. And this one isn't too hard. First, we'll subtract 5 from both sides. So that's equal to negative 5. And divide both sides by 3, and you get x is equal to negative 5 over 3. That's our first one. One there. And our second one here says we want to solve f of x is greater than 0. So same kind of thing here. 3x plus 5 is greater than 0. And we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. It's greater than negative 5. Divide both sides by a positive 3, and we'll get x is greater than negative 5/3. Some of you might be thinking, well, don't we flip this operator at some point? You only flip the operator if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number. And we did not do that in this case. All right, the next one, it says solve f of x is equal to g of x. So number 3. So f of x is 3x plus 5. And we're going to set that equal to g of x, the 5x minus 3. All right, so there's lots of different ways you can do this. In fact, there's 4 different legitimate ways you can do it. But the first thing I'd like to do is just go ahead and subtract the 5 from both sides, whatever the constant is on the left. So that would be 3x is now equal to 5x. And negative 3 minus 5 is minus 8. That's what that becomes. And then I'm going to go ahead and since I have my x term over here and an x term over here, I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. So 3x minus 5x is negative 2x. And that's going to be equal to negative 8. So that was just subtracting the 5x from both sides. And finally, we're going to divide both sides by a negative 2. So we get x is equal to positive 4. So that is the solution for those two equations set equal to each other. Okay, so the next one says solve f of x is less than g of x. So let's start it up here, number 4. All right, so we're going to write the same thing. So 3x plus 5 is less than 5x minus 3. 5x minus 3. For the most part, we can just kind of copy what we've already done here because we've already pretty much done it. We just have to watch out whenever we multiply or divide both sides by a negative number. So the first step is fine. When we subtract 5 from both sides, that is less than 5x minus 8. Then we will subtract 5x from both sides. Once again, we're not multiplying or dividing, we're subtracting. So that's going to be negative 2x is less than negative 8. And finally, we're going to divide both sides by a negative 2. That switches or turns around our inequality side here. So x, we flip that around, so that's going to be greater than 4. And that'll be our answer for that one. All right, and then the last thing they want us to do is graph these two functions in our calculator. So we're going to pull up our TI-83 or TI-84 calculator. We're going to put those two functions in there. So the first one is 3x plus 5. All right, and the next one is 5x minus 3, 5x minus 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to graph. Oh, it's not showing where they connect, so we're going to either have to change our window or, oh, this is a previous window, so let's just go back and change this to the -10, or actually, oops, I put that in wrong there. All right, let's go back to zoom, and we're going to do zoom standard. So that's number 6 there, and that should, and once again, it's still not showing, so I am going to zoom out here. Let's go ahead and zoom out until we kind of get what we're looking for. So I'm going to move the center of this to a little bit closer up there. And now we can see where they connect here. And it's kind of hard to see where it is on the map, but we have a function to find this. So I'm going to go to second calculate. All right, and it looks like we want to find where those two lines intersect there. So let's go ahead and choose number 5. And the first curve is the blue curve, so yes. The second curve is the red curve, yes. Guess, no. And there it is. It intersects at x equals 4 and y equals 17. And we had found that 4 earlier from our x values from number 3. Well, that's it. If you have any questions, make sure to let me know, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks.